Hello and welcome to part 2 of this fence project. Today we'll be putting in the bracket that holds the center post, installing the center post, and then adding on the fence sections with some angle brackets. We have our center post installed, and now what I need to do is I need to trim off the excess off of each one of these so it'll fit perfectly in between. For this piece here, I need to trim off 2 plank sections. After I finish that, I'll fit it into place and find out exactly how much I need to take off of the other section. That way it fits in nicely and it's a nice custom look. With those 2 pieces off, now I can put the pieces in, secure them with angle brackets, and finish this project. One thing I'd like to note is I bought these packets of angle brackets and they come with these small screws. I've used these small screws before and they pull out of the wood when you put pressure, high winds, a dog leaning against it, whatever else. So go ahead and get some longer screws that actually fit the piece of wood. Throw these little screws off to the side somewhere. Maybe you can use them on a little project that doesn't require much support. But something like this has a lot more weight to it than you might think, and you really need a deeper screw.
You can talk about the pit, barbecue. The band was jumping, the people too. Mess around. They're doing the mess around. They're doing the mess around. Everybody doing the mess around. Everybody was juiced, you can bet your soul. They did the boogie woogie with a steady roll. They mess around. They're doing the mess around. They're doing the mess around. Everybody doing the mess around. Now, when I say stop, don't you move a peg. When I say go, just shake your leg and do the mess around. I declare doing the mess around. Yeah, do the mess around. Everybody's doing the mess around. Now let me have it there, boy.
Well, we're almost done. I have some painting to do to touch things up, but I can do that later on when I do some more trim all around the porch. But one last thing I'd like to do to make this look a little better is I'm going to take one of these extra planks off of here and I'm going to screw it in on the other side of this post, so that way from the other side it looks like a constant row of picket fence. instead of having one gap with a post in the middle. After I do that, this job is done.
She knows how to shake that thing, mess around. I declare she can mess around. Ah, mess around. Everybody do the mess around.
We're all done out here putting in this fence. So let's head inside and I'll explain to you some of the tools that I used on this project. As always, it was hot and humid outside for this project and I've sweat through my shirt, which is why I sometimes don't wear one. But moving all the fence sections around, rubbing against me, I really thought it would be better to have a shirt rather than get scraped up. So let's look at the tools that we use today. The first tool you might have seen me using was, of course, a tape measure. You need to have a tape measure. You need to measure where things are going to be. I needed to center that bracket on the cement to know where I wanted to have it so that everything would come out evenly. To put it down, I put down a metal bracket that had holes in the bottom, and then I used one of these. This is a shell-fired nail gun thing. I don't know exactly what it's called, but what you do is you take this and you take one of these big nails that has a washer and a little ring attached to it. You insert it in the end, then you pull it open, and in here goes one of these little 22 caliber shells. Then you push it back shut and you beat on this little metal part with a hammer. You have to hit it pretty hard for it to go off. When it goes off, it shoots this nail right down into the ground. The charge that you use and the nail that you use is dependent upon what you're injecting it into. If it's solid concrete, if it's cinder block, all these things make a difference. If you're putting it into a grout section. Read the instructions if you're going to use one of these, otherwise it's just not going to work well. But really, this is very cool. I would recommend maybe spending a little more money and getting the one that's trigger fired. Holding it in place while you're getting it in spot and whacking it with a hammer can be a little bit of a pain, especially if you don't get it to go off the first time, which sometimes happens. If you hit anywhere around the edge of this rubber, you're not going to have enough force to send that thing off. The next thing I was using on this project today was a laser-guided jigsaw. Why laser-guided? Why not? That way you can see exactly where the blade is headed. In this case, that was very helpful because I wanted to cut off sections of the fence, and I wanted to do it between the existing fence pickets. So by using this with the laser guide, I was able to see that it was following straight up through the pickets, which was not necessarily a straight line. The pickets are a little bit off this way or that way. I wanted to follow the picket edge, not necessarily have a straight edge. The last tool I used today was a power drill with a driving bit in for the Phillips screwdriver. Now, one thing that did happen is I stripped a couple of screw heads. The wood was a little hard in the post, and that had a little bit more power than these cheapo screws that I bought. Maybe if I had purchased the brass screws for the more money, I wouldn't have had that happen, but it's okay. The screws are all the way in. It's not a huge problem. Now, the last thing that needs to be done on this fence project is to go ahead and paint all those areas with a brush that I wasn't able to get yesterday with a roller. But as I said, I'm going to put that off a little bit until I clean off the rest of the woodwork on that porch, and then I'm going to go ahead and touch up all of the woodwork so it matches nicely. After this project is finished, with that, I'll be putting up the dog kennel and then adding on a gate, which I might have to build from scratch. Stay tuned, you'll find out about that if I do. But that's it for this project. I hope you enjoyed watching me put up this fence. It took a little longer than I would have liked, but paint has to dry and there's not much you can do about it. So, have a good day. I'll see you next week.